What's going on, guys? It is Tuesday night on the East Coast, 8 p.m. It's time for Proper Royals Live. We got Charlie from Grey Rider Reptiles on the show tonight. We're going to talk, obviously we're going to talk genetic testing. We're going to talk ball pythons. There's some new news, too, with the Desert Ghost Project, I guess. They're testing with it. And I'm not in Desert Ghost, and I'm certainly not up on the scientifics of all of that, but we'll get Charlie's take on that as well. I know it's been a hot topic on Instagram today, so we'll talk some about that. But I want to dive a little deeper. I like the idea of industry disruptors, and I kind of think Charlie might have a little bit of that streak in him. So I want to dig into that, and we'll explore all of that, and we'll see where the show takes us tonight. So thank you all very much for being here. Got some 23 of you out of the gate, man. Charlie's bringing what's that song? The milkshake bringing the boys to the yard. Yeah, everybody's hanging out tonight. I saw some new. There's a lot of new names, man. Thank y'all very much. If y'all are all coming over following Charlie, like all jokes aside about dumb songs, man, thank you all. I don't think I've seen PhD pythons before. M&K exotics might be new. Phil P&K exotics, you might be new. If you're not new, thanks for coming back. It just means I didn't catch you on the show before. I'm sorry about that. Brotherhood Exotic Morphs, thank you. South Louisiana. Ken, what's going on, man? I hope that you're well. Frank, it's good to see you, man. It was good to see you this weekend in Tampa. We'll talk about that. Yeah, M&K Exotics. Charlie's here with his groupies. That's what I'm talking about. That's cool. Strictly Strange, huh? I'm not going to read too much into that name. I like that. That's cool. Raymond Williams, thanks for being here. I usually don't do shout outs, but I usually don't have this many new people right out of the gate. 27, huh? Very cool. Hey, thank you all very, very much. Phil, thank you for the subscription as well, man. I'll take that as a solid down payment. Now I got to deliver a killer show for you. Let's see. Announcements this week. I had a great time at the Tampa Repticon this weekend. It's a really great show. The market was really solid for me. I don't care. I'll be pretty transparent. I did a little over $2,000 in revenue in 2 days. Really pretty good. I keep my expenses lean. So really I just had to pay for my table, electricity. I stayed with friends. I had some gas. I had gas expenses, not gas. I had to pay for gas. Yeah, somebody bought dinner at the breeder evening that night. So, I mean, really, my expenses were really low. So, a really good weekend for me. And then some of the bigger guys, I know that those guys got into 5 figures. So, I don't think I'll ever be so big that I take 5 figures for granted, and I certainly hope I'm never too big to take $2,000 for granted. But it was a good weekend for me. So, that Tampa Repticon, really cool. I got to put this little banner up here. Hang on here. I had Cassie from Serpentina Voss help me out at the show. She asked if she could come vend with me just to learn, see what's going on, see the setup, get a little practice under her belt, working on sales techniques, trying to close deals, engaging people, that kind of thing. Probably trying to meet people. Anyhow, she was a huge help. And I know that she is humble enough that she wouldn't go asking for help. And she didn't even make a big scene on Instagram or anything. I did. I tried to. But if you would, go to Instagram. Like, it doesn't cost us anything, and it's a cool thing we can do for this community. It's on the little banner down there, Serpentina Voss. Let's hook up Cassie's Instagram, huh? She's doing the work. She volunteered. She didn't get paid a penny. She didn't sit down for 2 days. I don't know if I told her or not beforehand, but I don't sit down when I'm vending. Like, mentally, it's my thing. I got to be standing when I'm working. So I didn't sit down for 2 days. There's no chair at my booth. And she helped load in on Friday. She loaded out on Sunday and was there every moment. So thanks so much, Cassie. I don't know if you're watching or not, but thank you very, very much. I really appreciate your help. And anytime, you're welcome back anytime. So let's hook up Cassie on Instagram. Plus, she's got nice stuff. You want to see some cool clown combos on her page, go check that out. I got my first clutch of the year cut, hatched. They're all out of the eggs. That was the blackhead het genetic stripe to blackhead het genetic stripe. I did not hit the super visual. Oddly enough, I only hit one genetic stripe out of 6 eggs. Thank God I did, right? Like, could you imagine wondering if you got hosed? I bought those animals as part of a bigger collection a year and a half ago. I mean, the guy had the receipts and everything, and I know where he got them from. But you never know until you know with hets, right? So thank goodness I got that one genetic stripe. So they both proved het as promised. On the flip side, I got 3 super blackheads, 66% het genetic stripe, and they're pretty funky looking. 2 of them are males. I had one little runt that either didn't absorb his yolk, or I thought maybe it was a undeveloped twin that was in his egg too. I'm not sure. I didn't go exploring it. I didn't cut it open. I should have. In retrospect, I would have known. I have that curiosity now. I just won't know what it is. But anyway, they're all healthy, and I don't know what that littlest one is. That's a super as well. So let me know if you're interested. Keith at Creative Genetics has already reached out to me about the availability on those. I got to wait till they grow until I sex them. I might even know a guy that could help me with some genetic testing on those. So I got to see. We'll see how that shakes out on there. Dale, what's up, man? Thanks for tuning in. It was great to see you. Great to hang out this weekend, man. I appreciate you always stopping by. Thank you, brother. I got some breeders that I listed on my Facebook page. They're kind of entry-level breeders. They're probably not morph market caliber stuff that would make sense to ship. But if you want to buy a bunch of them, if you want to drive here, buy them all, whatever you want, let me know. They're on my Facebook page, Proper Royals on Facebook. You can check them out. Males and females, they're on there. So go check them out. I start vacation. If you haven't seen, I haven't shaved and since Monday or Tuesday. That's a little vacation ritual of mine. I am hitting the road this weekend. I'm going to New England, and I will have guest hosts the next 2 weeks. Steven, I think maybe Courtney as well, but certainly Steven from Leviathan Snakes is going to host Brad Boa Reptiles, and that is going to be Kevin from Brad Boa Reptiles. It's going to be the guest with him. And Charlie from Reagan Renee Royal Pythons will be the host in 2 weeks. Those dates are the 20th with Steven and the 27th with Charlie. I might pop in on the show, but both those guys took just huge ownership of it. And I never get tired of doing the show. This is kind of my weekly hangout, total relax, just let it rip, But you guys get enough of me. Let's try it with Steven and Charlie. They want to own it. Let them own it. I'll watch the show, but I'll let them do their thing. I'm really, really excited to see them. I got shirts in. Boom. It's kind of a big logo, I think, but I think it turned out pretty well. I like it. I'm not wearing the chef coat tonight. The men's shirts are Next Level is the name brand on those, so they're just really nice. I'm really kind of a t-shirt snob, so these are cut. They kind of fit the guys. They look good, make our arms look good, all that good jazz that we like. And then the ladies' shirts. Also have ladies' shirts. These are Bella Canva. My wife already took the tag off of hers, or I would show. But those are ladies' cuts. It does not have the dropping neckline. I don't know. Maybe that's good. Maybe that's bad. But just so you know, and those are Bella Canva, and those are more of I think they call it a tri-blend heather material. I'm talking I know what this stuff means. I don't. Other than I have men's shirts for the guys, and I have ladies' shirts for the ladies. And if you want to wear one of the other gender shirts, I don't care. That's cool too. But the cuts, I know from years of figuring out and buying uniforms that ladies don't like to wear. They don't like to look like middle school boys in their t-shirts. So I have those. They're $25 a piece. That's the shipped price that'll get it to your door. If you want them, let me know. I'm going to mail a bunch out on Thursday. I've had a lot of requests already. So let me know on those. And yeah, cool. That's the pitch on those. I'll go back to the chef coat next week, I guess. Maybe not. I'm not sure. Those are going to mail out on Thursday. Email me, properroyals@gmail.com, Instagram, wherever you can check those out. I'm really pleased with how they came out. Seriously, I'm proud of them and glad to have them. What else? Tomorrow I will put out a new video on YouTube about my pickups no, that's a lie. My breeding progress. The following video will be a pickups video. I'm going to film that one tomorrow, and I'm going to release the breeding season project video tomorrow. That will be out. One thing I did do at the show is I made more investments at that show this weekend than I have in about a year and a half. It's been a while since I've been really kind of ahead and profitable. I spent a lot on displays, show materials, and racks last year. And I made some pretty cool purchases this weekend. One being a double recessive that I'm pretty pleased with, but maybe I'll save that. Maybe I'll save that for the show. I got that at the US Arc auction for a screaming deal, man. What a cool thing. Help out US Arc and pick up a double recessive. I was real pleased with that. So anyhow, you have to check out the video for that. Grey Rider Reptiles. That's Charlie. I started seeing, I don't know, man. I don't know. The time escapes me. I'll have to ask Charlie what the timeline was, but I want to say it was 3-4 months ago. I mean, it was just on the heels of Morph Market announcing that genetic testing was coming to them, like was actually a real thing in the market. And the history, I don't know if you all know, but I had Dr. Seidel on my show well over a year ago. And a year is a while, but it's not that long. And I remember very clearly because there were two really notorious names in our industry, and they're both good dudes. They've been fine. We're cool. But they were really like dumping on the idea that this was even possible and like laughing at it. And here it is. It's real. Like this has happened. This has changed in that fast amount of time. And like I said, it wasn't 18 months ago. It was more than 12, but it wasn't 18 months ago. So then, fast forward, Morph Market announces this is going to be a reality. And then I start seeing this Grey Rider Reptiles that was doing testing. And I was like, what is this? You can't just, I don't know. Maybe you can. I don't know how you just decide you're going to jump into this game. And that's what I meant by like the disruptor language that I used on the thumbnail. Like, I think this is super cool. I got to figure this out. So I've seen Charlie on a couple of the other podcasts, Jeremy Warfels for sure. Good buddy of mine. And anyhow, I think I talked to Charlie before then, but we had talked behind the scenes, and he just seems like a good, down to earth dude. I respect people that hopefully I respect everybody, but I really have a special place for people doing the work, figuring things out, innovating. So I'm pumped to have him on. So for the very first time from upstate New York, please welcome for the very first time to the Proper Royals stage. This is Charlie from Grey Rider Reptiles. What's going on, Charlie?
What's going on? How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, my pleasure. I got to have you on more often if you're going to bring like 47 people out of the gate. This is fantastic, man.
Yeah, that's the Blue Line Morphs crew there, the Patreon.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I like, forgive me, what's the guy at Blue Line's first name? I know everybody's
Baker.
handle. What's that?
Baker.
Yeah, he does great stuff. And he was one of the guys, I mean, when I got started, I think he had 4,500, 5,000 subscribers. I mean, he's doing the real thing too. Mm-hmm. So that's real cool. How's he doing? I haven't seen him posting lately. Is he still, I mean, I know he's busy.
He's posting, he's rocking it. He's got some cool Stranger Clown clutch just hatched out. You can check him out.
Cool.
Yeah, we got some cool stuff going on.
Very cool. Well, cheers everybody for coming. I really appreciate the opportunity to put on a show in front of you. And maybe I got to connect with Baker one of these days. That'd be cool to catch up after my little trip,
Yeah, definitely.
That'd be awesome. So I'm gonna write his name down here. Didn't he, not to turn the show, I mean, I could do the show about the guy with the guy, but did he lose an animal or have some animals that something didn't go well, maybe 4-6 months ago, that caused him to step back? Or am I making that up?
No, I don't think so.
No. Okay. Well, that's good then. Maybe it was just a busted clutch on odds or
yeah, maybe
something. I don't know. He's really good with the thumbnails that are pretty dramatic too. Maybe I just envisioned that in my head, and it wasn't really that. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a skill, man. I'm still working at it. Charlie, well, it seems like most of the people in the audience know you, but give us the quick elevator introduction, man. Tell us about yourself?
Yeah, Charlie, Grey Rider Reptiles. Like you said, I'm in upstate New York. I'm originally from Brooklyn. Moved upstate for work. I am not a scientist. I have no bio or anything like that background. I'm a cop, and but I have some ball pythons, and I love trying to figure things out and things that most people won't try. I like to. I need to know how everything works, so I gotta. You know, when I hear of something and I find it interesting, I just go in full research mode, and my mind is just glued to that until I figure it out. My wife doesn't like it that much because I completely ignore everything in the world when I'm doing that, and I don't listen to anybody. my head is usually in my phone or on my computer, and that's it.
Well, I was cooking dinner tonight, and I was thinking about my show this weekend, and there's some things that I do differently than others. And I literally think about everybody that told me you have to do things this way, this way, this way. And then they say that's how everybody does it.
Right.
But the markets are like, if everybody's doing something, the opportunity comes in doing the opposite, right? Like, like when prices are down and everybody's selling and jumping ship, that's when I'm not necessarily talking about pythons, but that's a good time to buy from a market standpoint or from an investment standpoint, from a long-term standpoint. And I got thinking about it. I was like, it doesn't mean I don't listen and I disregard things, but I also don't think that I just have to do what the market. Anyway, it's funny you brought that up because I was thinking along those lines. Also, this weekend vending with Cassie, she was like, "You don't stop. If nobody's at your table, man, you got your computer out. You're thinking like." She's like, "You're posting on Instagram. You're updating your morph market with new pictures." Like, I'm like, "Yeah, I got downtime. I got to do something," you know.
Yeah, no, that's me. I don't sit down. This is going to be the longest I sat down all week. Like, it's rough. It's busy. So
yeah. Okay. Well, screw it. Let's just jump in then. Okay. So I get all that. I actually really empathize with those personality traits because I'm that way. Guitar amps, I figured out how to build them myself. I couldn't afford the high-end Fender tube amps that I love of the 60s. I figured I built them myself. I play through them myself. I fix guitars, blah, blah, blah. That's different than that feels different. Maybe it's not. It feels different than jumping in and going, you know what? Morph Market seems to have this under control. Why don't I jump in and see what I can do that they're not doing? How did that happen?
I bought all the equipment and started researching and everything. I mean, you could ask all the guys in Baker's Blue Line Morphs Patreon, like they were sending me sheds back before Morph Market ever even announced that they were doing this. I thought I was going to be the first one to do it for people like Dr. Seidel. Obviously, you could send her stuff, but if she's not doing testing, then there was nothing.
That's right.
So I thought, and at first, honestly, I didn't think I was going to necessarily offer it out to the public because I didn't know if I was going to get to the point where I was going to be good enough that I would feel comfortable testing other people's snakes, unless they're like just friends and things like that. And then when they came out and said, you know, RGI is doing this, blah, blah, I was like, oh shit. I'm like, wow, they beat me to it. But then I looked into it and I realized, all right, that he's a real geneticist. He's a scientist. You know, he's been working on this for a lot longer than I have.
Yeah.
So it's whatever, it is what it is. But you know, it definitely didn't stop me. If anything, it just pushed me a little more to really want to figure it out at that point. But yeah, like same thing. Like I have another side business where I do CNC work.
Yeah.
Like this sign behind me, but I built all my CNC machines because when I was doing it, I first got into, I built a CNC laser engraver, a small little thing. And then I was like, oh, I could just scale this up. It's the same technology. It's just on a bigger scale. So I built a bigger one. And then I wanted a router, a CNC router. So I built one of them. Then I wanted to cut metal. So I built a CNC plasma cutter. And now I have a pretty good business on that. That keeps me really busy. But I never thought I'd know how to build a machine that I could put a picture on a computer and do a couple things with coding it and converting things and then send it to a machine and have it cut out a piece of metal like that. Like, I thought that was only factories somewhere that do stuff like that. I didn't think it was possible for somebody that isn't an engineer to figure that out. I have a computer science degree, but I never really worked too much in the computer field. I was in finance mainly before I became a police officer. But I've always been very tech savvy, and I'm a tech geek. Pretty much everything in my snake room and everywhere is automated. And if I could automate something, it's automated. Even if it's the dumbest thing in the world, if I could build something to do it on its own, it's just to see if I could do it. And really, that's how this stemmed out. I saw Dr. Seidel on Brian's show, Samson's Snakeatorium.
Yep.
And then I was like, man, that's awesome. I'm like, that's really cool. And then I think I watched her on your show, and then she was on another show. And I'm like, let me just look into this and see if this is even remotely possible for somebody who, the only bio background I have is a bio lab class in college that I had to take.
Right.
That's it. But I love animals. I've always had animals. I've always had reptiles. And I have to see if I could do it. So I looked, and I realized that there are pieces of equipment out there that you could buy that are affordable.
Yeah.
They're not cheap. It's not like you're going to spend a couple $100, but you're not going to spend $100,000. So I was like, all right. And then before I even made that type of investment, I had to do a lot of research first, because I don't want to buy this stuff and still have no clue what I'm doing and have it just sit on a shelf. So I pretty much spent 6 months from the time I saw her on Brian's show to the time I actually ordered the equipment, of just researching, just talking to people. And then I was like, all right, I think I got this. So I ordered everything, and I didn't know if I was gonna, because it was a decent investment, and I wanted to do it right. I wanted to get the full kits and not just the low complete entry level stuff. And then buying all the reagents are expensive. I saw somebody
asked about something called primer. So
right,
I don't know what a primer or reagent is.
Not being an actual institution, how are you able to receive primer deliveries? That's the problem I'm running into. So there are some places that will send you primers, even if you're not an institution. My first delivery of primers actually came from, I ordered them through this company thinking I was going to get them like next day, but they came out like 2 weeks later. I realized they came from China. So then I went back on the website that most people order their primers from, and I may have put in something saying that I worked with some institution and put in my address, and they sent me this stuff. But I didn't lie. I put in my alma mater.
Yeah. Well,
I
think to that point, there's a certain, and I could sense it in you, there's a certain like trait where when there's a challenge or a roadblock, it's not the end. It's how am I going to solve it? I like using the show this weekend as an example, but it was, how am I going to make money at shows if my overhead is this and it costs this? Well, start chopping it down. How can I get it cheaper? All right, I'm going to vend at shows where I could stay with friends. Well, that's $300 right there on 2 nights of a hotel in Tampa. I don't have to worry about that anymore. Right. And just, how am I going to stay relevant, or how am I going to get my brand out there? I guess I'll start a podcast. Everybody's doing it. I guess I'll try it. If they could do it, I'll give it a shot. And then you figure out the lighting and you figure out the microphones and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, that sort of, I hear what you're saying, but I'd like to ask a few more questions about this and figure it out. I think it's a great trait on that.
Yeah, and I see Dr. Joe's in the chat from Kingdom Pythons. He's doing it at his school, and that's what I thought too. When I started looking things up, I'm like, maybe like this equipment's just for like bio teachers and things like that, like guys that have somewhat knowledge on it. Like I have none, but that's what YouTube's for, and that's what the internet is for. Everything you want to know is at your fingertips right now, and it blows my mind how some people don't want to know everything. Like it's
right.
Like I like it, but it's also a fault because my brain doesn't stop, and like I wish I could relax sometimes. Like people like that could sit back and like, I don't give a crap how this genetic testing works. I just want my snakes tested.
Right.
But I can't do that. How the heck are you figuring this out? And how you're another human being? Yes, you went to school for probably 8 years, whatever it takes to get your doctorate in biology and this and that. But guess what? The internet is a cheat sheet in life now. It's like you could do you could figure out I don't hire pretty much anybody to do anything in my house. I built this snake room, the electricity, everything. And I don't know how to do that without the help of the internet.
Right.
If you follow directions and you have a little bit of problem solving intuition, then you could figure it out. But I get it. A lot of people don't want to. And a lot of times my wife has to tell me, hey, Charlie, listen, let's just pay somebody to do this. You don't have to learn how to do this.
Right.
It's not that expensive. By the time you buy all the stuff, you need to do it. But it's not always about that. It's just like, I want to know how to do it.
It's the intrigue. Yeah. I do weigh like the time investment versus the outcome. But then again, well, yeah. Well, I was going to say that's probably where my compartmentalism or ability to compartmentalize comes into play.
Right.
But I love what you're talking about, and I still think there's a lot of overlap. Somebody this weekend was asking me about movies, and I was like, I don't think I've sat down and watched a movie in a decade. Like I not to mention like I saw Shawshank Redemption. I was like, I'm good, man. If you can't beat that, I'm not watching it, man. Like I don't need a kind of thing, right? So, so I definitely get that. I do try and weigh my time investment, and if I could either learn or make money or accomplish something a little bit faster. So now like I will, and I do believe in when I do pay somebody, I want to pay the person the best. And if that costs more money, that's fine because I know it'll be done right. Or I have the accountability or the ability to hold them accountable because I've paid them a lot. But yeah, figuring things out, understanding for me, I really fell in love with that mentality with guitars. I found I could buy damaged guitars that were repairable that I would never have otherwise been able to afford in my life. So suddenly, if I learned how to repair guitars or do really high-end woodworking, I could afford Gibsons that I would never have afforded before. And that was like my whole, I remember one time somebody asked me like, how will you know when you're rich? And I was like, I'll have a Gibson 335. That's how I'll know. I got one hanging on the wall because I bought it with a broken neck and I fixed it. Like it's mine now,
Mm-hmm.
So I get that. I get the idea that you can learn stuff on the internet, and maybe you're telling us that anybody can do it and nobody is. I don't know.
So I thought
it seems pretty specialized.
It is. I thought in the beginning that's how it was just going to be. Like I was going to go on Dr. Seidel's website. I was going to see what primers I needed. I was going to order this equipment, and it was just going to be done. Like I was going to extract DNA from my sheds, figure it out probably in the first day I got it. I was completely wrong. It literally took me until I had a positive test that worked a couple months of back and forth, because there's nobody in, like Dr. Seidel is a busy person. She can't just sit there and take the time and walk me through this.
Yeah.
That's one. And two, the people I bought the equipment from, they were pretty good. They were like, hey, yeah, you kind of got to do this, but they're not specialized in the reptiles and not really understanding why and what I needed to get out of this and why I was doing it a certain way. And so it was hard. It took probably more time explaining to them about ball pythons than them explaining to me about how to use this equipment. So it's a little frustrating, and a lot of, even on the internet, even on YouTube, like everything is not on there. Like, is everything I'm looking up, like, all right, boom, I'm going to YouTube, how to sequence a whole genome of snake genome. There is nothing on that. There's nothing. You can figure out how to do it about humans and a ton of stuff about human DNA and RNA and this and that, but there's not anything really out there specifically for this. So it took a lot of cutting and pasting things together in my brain, like, all right, using this from this, and then getting lucky and having somebody like Hannah or somebody be like, nope, this is the little part that you're missing. this is why you're not getting the results you needed, you know? So, and it, not only the equipment costs money, but the reagents aren't cheap. They're a lot of them have to get shipped, you know, priority and overnight, and it's expensive. And when you're screwing up time after time, and you're going through that stuff like candy, it gets kind of frustrating. You're like, you know what? There was definitely times where I'm like, this is stupid. Why did I think I could do this? Like, I'm blowing money like crazy on this, and I'm getting nowhere.
Now, what's a reagent? What is that? What part is that of that? Is
any of the chemicals that go into the process. So when you get it, when you send me a shed, I have to extract the DNA out of that shed.
Okay.
So there's reagents that you use, chemicals that you use to do that. Then there's chemicals that you use for the PCR, so that you know, the primers, for example. So when you're doing this, a human genome and any genome, like even just a snake genome, is billions and billions of bases long, nucleotides. So it's very expensive to sequence a whole genome, and it'd be stupid to do that to find out if something is het piebald. All you have to do after somebody does the legwork, like Dr. Seidel, is locate where this is. Now,
so you're pinpointing it where.
Now I have the roadmap. I could tell my PCR equipment, hey, these primers I'm using, these are going to tell the rest of the reagents what to attach to on that huge DNA strand. Don't ask me how the hell that works and why that's physically possible. I don't know. Almost like, how do cell phones work? I have an idea, but it's still stupid and doesn't make sense how it possibly could physically happen.
Right.
But this too, like, so these primers attach to a certain section and multiply that and make billions and billions of copies of that section of DNA.
Okay. All right. And so if they're making the right copies that you can identify, then that's how you can say it's het or it's not, or
so they're making this not necessarily. So say for instance, the piebald gene is located in ABCDE, and I have the primers for that. Every ball python is going to have ABCDE, but they might not have the genetic mutation on B that is needed to create the piebald gene.
Right.
So I'll still, like, that's why you'll run it, and then you run it on a gel, and that's where you see those bands in the gels. And that just shows you, for most of the tests, that just shows you extracted DNA properly, and your primers worked, and you got the billions of copies of DNA from that section. Now I have to send that to a lab, and now a lab with a more expensive equipment has to sequence that. And when they sequence that, that then comes back to me in a readable chart. And now I look at that chart and look at that section, and I could see in this location that was figured out by Dr. Seidel, if it's het piebald, it's going to have the wild type marker and also the piebald marker in the same location. If it is not, it's only going to have the wild type. If it is a visual piebald, it's only going to have the piebald there.
Right.
So then
these places there, or the mutation,
So that's how that process works. And some of them she made so that the test that I can run it on a gel, and then based on the lines, the bands in the gel, I could tell, okay, this is het, this is visual, this is this. So like hypo, I could do it all at home on gel. Lavender albino and yellow belly, I could do them all at home without sending them out. She's working on, well, one of her students is working on getting piebald so that we could do it at home. And it's not necessarily easier. It's kind of easy to do the sending out to a lab and everything and getting it back, and but it makes it less expensive and quicker. So I did tests last night. I got a couple of hypo sheds and tests for hypo in the mail yesterday, and I had other tests that I was doing last night. So I threw them in with the rest of them, and I got home from work a little after 4 yesterday, and the person had their hypo results last night.
Oh, wow. Wow. And before it escapes me, and while we still have everybody's attention, to skip all of this mumbo jumbo for 1 second, what are the genes that you currently test for and that people can come to you to test for? I should have asked you that out of the gate. I'm sorry for that.
So I could only right now do the things that Dr. Seidel found, because she works for a university. So she publishes them out for public.
That's right.
Now, So it's, albino, lavender albino, hypo, candy. I could do the one line of Ultramel right now, Ultramel A or whatever they call it. Yellow belly, gravel, asphalt, specter. What else? I think that's it. Piebald, obviously. Yeah, I think that's it. But I like RGI, they're a private company, so all the ones they find, they're not going to release.
That's proprietary. Yeah.
So I've talked to them, and they're great. They're awesome. Like, they're doing great work.
Yep.
Ben, he's a genius. He's going to take this so far, I know, and it's going to be awesome. And I just hope to be along for the ride in some part. I'll never be like them. I'll never want, like, I couldn't. I have a full-time job, and I can't retire for another 11 years. So, and I have a 2.5-year-old son that's tied to my hip all day when I get home.
Yeah.
So I'll never be like, and I don't have the background. I don't have the money. I don't have the investors and things like that. But I do want to find genes on my own. So yesterday I spent a couple of hours on the phone with scientists from different labs, and I spent probably an hour today on the phone with another scientist. So I'm making the contacts I need to make with people in the field that work in labs that are willing to, not necessarily help, but they could do what I need them to do. So it's very expensive, to find a new gene. It's not cheap. It's not cheap. But I'm at the point now where I know how to do it. I know the roadmap. I know what I have to do. It's just a matter of spending the money and doing it, which that's the one thing. Whenever all the money that I make from the shed testing goes right back into the reptile market somehow, whether it be buying snakes or right now it's just been buying new stuff to do this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm already looking at automated systems, and I talked to a guy for a half hour today that wants to sell me a system to make the extraction process automated, which I just don't necessarily need that right now because it's not like I'm swamped with business, but it's something that could save me time and make a better quality product, because there are times that somebody sends me a shed that like the biggest thing I have to stress, and I talked to Dr. Morell about it the other night. I asked him, I said, hey, do you guys ever get sheds that you cannot extract DNA from? He said, absolutely. I said, okay, good. So it's not just me being a novice screwing up and not getting it. So, and he said it's usually when somebody gets a shed and they don't properly dry it, or it's really dirty from being in the tub and it could get contaminated. So the worst part is, I have to stress the most, like, if you get a shed and you want to test it, get it out of the tub as quick as you can, spread the whole thing out and let it dry like that. Because if you keep it crunched up and let it dry, the inside isn't getting dry and it's growing bacteria. And that bacteria screws up a lot of the process. So I'd say probably there's been about 5 right now in the last couple hundred that I've done that I could not get DNA out of. And at that point, it's like, all right, I gotta wait for you to send me another shed.
Right.
Or I've done it before with a mouth swab and it's worked.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, yeah, so that works. It just takes a little bit more work on the person's end instead of just pulling a shed out.
That's an interesting innovation, though, because I don't hear about that. And really, you talk about automation. I talk about efficiency. I talk about buying some things. If it's a long-term project, just skip a year or two. If you could buy yourself time, that's really like the best thing you can ever invest in.
Right.
But that mouth swab would do that. If there was a sale to be made, or there was a urgent pairing that maybe could happen, that could in theory cut a month off of the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, I've done it twice, and I've done it with my snakes here, because in the beginning when I first started, the company that makes the equipment tried to extract DNA from sheds, and there was another guy that also tried to do it, and they could never do it. But for some reason I was able to do it right away. But at first they had me thinking that it wasn't possible in this simple way that they were selling me on.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, you're gonna have to use a toothpick and swab the mouth and do it. So I was like, damn. I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to have people swab the inside their snake's mouth. Like most breeders and everything will be all right with it, but then you never know. Like, are they gonna get enough saliva on there? Are they gonna do it properly?
Right.
So I was doing it on my snakes, and it worked. But my snakes are 100 feet away from where all my equipment is. So I was like, all right, let me test. So Shane from Small Town Exotics, I was talking to him, and he had just gotten a new snake, and it was Posset Hypo. And I said, Shane, I'm like, send me the shed. He's like, I don't know when. I just got this thing. I'm like, all right, let's try this. Take a swab of the mouth.
Yeah.
Send it to me. Let's see if this works. And so he did it with a Nido test kit. So it's kind of like a Q-tip, you know.
Right. Yep.
He sent it to me, and it worked. I was
wow.
like, awesome. So I've done it with a couple other people that their sheds, you know, the sheds weren't working, but it definitely takes an extra little step that I have to do, but it's no big deal. So yeah, that's definitely another way. But it'd be more of, like you said, like, hey, I got this guy wants to buy this snake, and I need to know if this is head hypo like ASAP, and I don't know when this thing's going to shed next.
Right.
All right, let's do this. Let me walk you through it. Let me tell you what to do. You know, having everybody send me toothpicks in the mail that I don't know how they did it, if they had gloves on, if they, you know, if they used a toothpick and then did it, you know, I don't know. So,
right.
But in certain scenarios, 100%, it's doable.
But all those things, maybe not to the same extent. There's all, I mean, anytime a human's involved handling anything.
Correct.
Yeah. Everybody's chomping at the bit. So fill us in on as you understand it, or if there's a layman's terms on what's this DG news today. I'll let you explain it, because like I say, I've just heard that there's DG news, but I had no idea exactly what it was, and I saw a headline, but I didn't really understand what that.
Yeah, I didn't catch all of Dr. Morill's video last night. I was busy, but I did. You know, I was hearing about it this morning from Instagram and everything. So I took a quick look, and so what it seems like for piebald, for example, there's one location, one gene that causes the piebald mutation. For desert ghost, it appears that there's at least three different locations that can cause the DG visual. And I believe you need at least two of them to get a visual. So the potential issues, then, what they're saying is like, you know, if you breed a visual to a non-het, non-visual normal ball python, if it doesn't pass along at least two of those, you might not get
three.
Right. You might not get hets.
So it'd be like 2/3 of 50% chance.
Right. But the thing that was blowing my mind today, as I was listening to people talking about it, I'm like, has anybody had that problem yet? Like,
right. Yeah. Have we heard this?
So what I did hear, somebody, the holdback rack, I was listening to them today on my way home from work.
Did they go on today? There's just the thumbnail that I saw. They were on with it. Oh man, I never know what day they're on. Yeah.
And they were saying, you know, they've heard from or Dr. Morrill said he heard from other large breeders that have been in DG for a long time that, you know, there's been cases where they thought maybe it was either a very low expression DG that, you know, that didn't come, or, you know, polymorphism, you know, anything. Or just the mother, you know, what's it called? When the mother just produces her own.
Yeah, parthenogenesis.
Parthenogenesis.
Yeah.
So but now this explains a lot of that, you know. So technically, if you breed a visual desert ghost to a normal snake, you might not get all hets. That's what they're saying.
Yeah. Or it could have
one of the three,
it could have one of the three.
And he's not done with his research yet, so it's not like, it might even be more than that. It might be 6 or 8. You know, because like he was saying yesterday, to figure out a human's height, it's like thousands and thousands of different genes to say how tall a person's going to be. He said this one, it seems like there's just a handful. So that still makes it a lot more difficult than the ones we could test for now, because right now it's just one, and that's why everybody, he's been saying for a while, like, DG's coming. It's just been a little more difficult. It seems
I know there's been a holdout on it. Yeah. So
that's why everybody's asking me, are you going to try to figure out DG? I'm like, no. This guy's the man at it, and he's having a trouble with it. I'm not doing it.
Right.
And yeah, like Brandon Nixon Reptile says, like, it is also premature information. Like, he still has to do a lot more. So I don't know if he wanted to get it out there, though, to let people know, like, let's be careful. We're not 100% sure yet. It's different than what we normally have. It's normally like the Mendelian square, like where, AA, BB, and
Punnett square. Yeah, we know what's going. Yeah.
But now this is different because there's multiple genes that play to cause this. So let's see. I mean, I'm not huge. I only have one het DG female in my collection. I would like to get more DG, but I'm not going to steer away from it because of this. And I don't think people that are involved in it are really too worried about it. But
yeah, somebody was commenting. Well, and I don't want to put. I'm not going to look back specifically, but for a little bit until there's some clarity here, that's going to sink the het DG market, man. Like,
yeah, it definitely could be.
Yeah. And the problem is that it's not like entry-level breeders are buying. Well, I mean, some entry levels are, but like pet curious breeders aren't really the ones buying DG because it's still pretty price prohibitive. You get a cool combo het DG female. It's still, you're still paying a lot of money for it. And most pet buyers aren't going to pay that cost for something that doesn't look any different because of the het. They're like, hey, why are you going to pay $400 extra or whatever you're going to pay for it? So what I'm really saying, though, is the people that would pay it are probably aware of these findings and at least have that curious doubt where they have to say, I might not be sure that it's a problem, but I might not pay it right now anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Like people that are just getting into the hobby and they see this video and they're like, oh, maybe I'll steer away from that gene, but I think for most people involved in it, hey, if the mark prices come down in it, I'll scoop some up, whatever. Sell me all your het GGs. I'll take them.
Well, yeah. And that's the flip side. Yeah. Just going right back to what I was saying earlier, when everybody else is running away, like, hello, now's the chance. Yeah. Well, so are they offering a test now, or they're saying here's why we figured out why we haven't been able to add a test?
They are offering, they call it the elimination test. So they could tell you if it's definitely not het DG. If it comes back positive for DG, it's not guaranteed to be positive.
So they can eliminate it.
Have that other missing link,
Right.
So, it's still, people, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I guess until they really perfect it. And if I had a clutch of het DGs, I don't know, am I spending 65 times 8, to get them all tested and just know which ones definitely aren't.
Right.
So I don't know.
They're in the could be gang. Yeah. Right. It's real interesting. And this is total layman's terms, but I've tried to express it before to people, but not in this context. But it's always seemed too perfect. Somebody asked me what a Candino was the other day at the show. And I said, well, believe it or not, that's one of 2 genetic situations, the other being a Krypton that I know of, where basically, I mean, similar related, but different unique hets will interact together. And they were looking at me like I was insane because they were a pet owner and they just wanted a cool looking snake called a Candino. And I chuckled to myself because I said, well, that's a little bit crazy to follow. On the other hand, that's as crazy as it gets. And once you learn that, poof, you're there. Like, that's it. You're done. You've figured out the hardest genetic situation.
Right.
So it struck me before that it all does seem too perfect. And I still also like, this is even more base level. I still am just blown away that, like, I know good and well if I breed a pied to a pied, they're all going to pop out pieds. But damn when they do, if I'm not still blown away, like, oh, it worked. Like, of course it worked. Adam.
Definitely.
We call it science, but that's why we call it science. But man, it's still exciting. You know, it's a cool thing, man.
Yeah, it definitely is. And that's, you know, I've learned so much about just genetics in general and science in general over the last year, looking through all this. And then even just with my own collection, I have a lot of, you know, candy pied project stuff. So now I could breed het to hets and not worry about it and figure it out. It almost is a good and a bad, because I only have 20 something ball pythons, you know, and I have one clutch in the incubator. My most anticipated clutch, I'm going on vacation next week. We're supposed to get laid next week. So I was freaking out that I wasn't going to be here. I came home from work today and it laid.
Oh, cool.
Like, not cool. 9 slugs.
Oh, not cool.
So
cool,
it was hard.
Cool.
It just screwed up all my plans, because I'm trying, like, when I first learned about projects and everything, it was like, don't buy everything just that you like. Try to plan 2-3 years ahead. So I was trying to do that with my acid and clown project and everything like that. So I had all these things in my head that I want to do next year and the year after, and this just screwed me up. So I don't know. I got to figure a few things out. But
what was the pairing on it?
Black head, black pastel, acid to a clown female. So I wanted to make the snake I currently have as het clown.
Right.
Which you can't get. There are none. So
yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I'll just buy an acid het clown. But then I'm like, I'm not getting the genes that I wanted.
Right. You can get a little bit closer, but you're not spot on it. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So, you know, but it is what it is. So, I mean, but then you're sitting there and you're browsing Morph Market, like, all right, what should I buy? What should I buy? It's like, oh, wait, I could do this because I could test everything. And then I could do this. But then I start thinking, because I've tested for people that have sent me like 8 sheds from a clutch, and like only one was het for it. Like, it's like, hey, you're not guaranteed that.
No,
even though you're doing het to het or het to not het, you might not get anything.
Yeah.
You know? So it's not always, you know, just because I could test for it, and I might not get the codom I want in there to have that het either.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's not going to be. Testing doesn't change the outcome. It changes. Exactly. Yeah, it changes the information, or it confirms or denies the information. But yeah, in my intro, I just cut a clutch this week that I've been excited about for a year and a half. You know, because I never bred these two together, and I was looking to see if I hit like my big dream animal, which I didn't, and then I was excited to see I hit some supers, and then I was like, oh, I got a G stripe, which is plain and boring, and then I realized it's the only G stripe in the whole clutch. And thank God I got that, because then I would have sat here for a year going, what did I buy? Did that guy lie to me? I thought I vetted that guy. I dropped a huge amount of money on that collection. Like I went to his place. I knew him. And so thank God that one was in there, because I would have been going nuts, you know? Well, you would have gotten some business.
Says in Nixon Reptiles, he got 0 het candy, and he had some pretty bad luck with me recently.
Yeah, him and I've only ever sent one animal to be tested, and it came back positive for what I wanted. But he and Steven both have said, man, like every time they send out a shed, they always get results, but they're not the ones that they're looking for.
Yeah, and like sometimes, like the person who sent me, they sent me 8 to test for het hypo, and 1 came back het hypo.
Oof.
And I'm like, did I screw up?
Right.
I'm going to do this again. And then you do it again. And you're like, okay, you know, because in your head, I'm thinking, all right, 3 or 4 of these should be, but no, it does not matter. It could have been 0, you know, it's a roll of the dice on every single time. And then some people get super lucky, and, you know, that you get they hit all of them, or they hit 3 out of 4, you know, and it's always in my head, like, am I doing this right? Am I doing this right? You know, and so then I'll redo things on my own just to confirm it. And it is, it's right. But you can't think in your head that 50% het does not mean that half of them are going to be het.
No, there's, and it's a hard thing because people need to understand the science of the odds, but they also have to separate that from the reality and the emotions that go with the reality.
Right.
And it's funny, I've seen chats get out of hand because people try and explain that, but they don't get the context of, they can't get the depth and the nuance in a chat text. And it's just people are, and I'm like,
because every single egg is a 50% chance, and one does not affect the next
it
egg.
does not. It does not affect it. That's correct.
I remember taking probability in college, and like, I remember that for some reason that class sticks in my head when the professor said, I roll this dice. If it says 6 10 times in a row, the odds of it being 6 on the 11th time is the same exact as it was before.
That's right. Yeah. The one before it doesn't matter. The one doesn't after it doesn't matter. It's that one.
You're sitting at a roulette table, and what do they have? They have all the numbers up for the previous, just so that the person sees, like, oh, 26 didn't come out in the last 10. Put it out,
And those roulette makers know that too. They know the emotional part of it, man. Right. There's the old science versus the amygdala, the emotion, man. Let's take just a second. Let me pay some bills here real fast, and we'll get a drink of water. Everybody, I am going to start this week with Snakes for the Memories. That's Jeremy and Holly. They are down in Okeechobee, Florida. Snake breeders, good folks. They're moving to Indiana. I know they still have a little bit of inventory. They got merch and all of that good stuff. They definitely support me here on the channel, and I skipped them last week, so they get 2 weeks penance. I got to over deliver back for them. Check them out. Their information is down below in the description. Also, if you're not using REDLINE shipping, give them a shot. They could save you. I could save you $5 if you use the promo code proper5 on your next shipping label. And I was a customer of theirs long before I was ever in business with them. I really enjoy it. Go check them out. It's a good experience. What do you have to lose? Save yourself $5 too. Cold-blooded cafe. Those of y'all that don't know me or join a new, I am a not snob, maybe a snob about, I actually am a snob about the food quality. Normally I wear a chef's coat with my own Proper Royals logo on it because of my background in food and beverage. I've been really pleased with Cold-blooded Cafe's rodents. They're the only frozen thawed rodents that I feed. And currently I feed about 85% of my collection on frozen thawed every week. That's constant on that. So check them out. They're going to give you 10%, not just $10, 10%. They're going to give you off of your first order, Proper 10. Last but not least, the person that has supported me longest from a sponsorship standpoint is Chris Shelley at BNS Reptilia. He definitely sells ball pythons. He's also got colubrids, Morelia. Heck of a good dude. Boas as well. And he knows a lot more about reptiles, and he's probably forgotten more about reptiles than I'll ever know, especially outside of the ball python world. Great dude. Somebody that I trust a lot. I literally just talked to him today. And I'm going to get to go hang out with him July 1st up at Jeremy Warfel's hangout there in Pennsylvania. So, but anyhow, in the meantime, check out Chris Shelley at BNS Reptilia if you're looking to make any purchases. He's also the distributor for the chipper in the Pennsylvania market. And I would say probably Maryland, New Jersey, and, lower New York. If you're interested, I'd appreciate it if you support him. He's been great to me. Thank you guys very much. If you're just joining, the guest tonight is Charlie from Grey Rider Reptiles. We've been talking about genetic testing all night, a little bit of talking about industry disruption and where the angles were and figuring things out. A high-end tinkerer. I love that idea. Like we can tinker away and figure our way in. It's kind of the story that I tell people about, like people that I know, but essentially are strangers, that they go, wait a minute, you do what? And I'm like, yeah, well, there's all these genes, and you can, predictably, reliably predict what you will receive, or the combinations are possible. And I go through that spiel at every reptile show because they're like, wait, these are all the same species? Yeah, they're very same species. Well, how do you know what you're going to get? Well, you can pair this or that, or we can predict this and the livelihood of that. And then inevitably, if they've asked that question, they just look at me like, okay, that's why you do this. But to your point earlier, I learned it all on the internet. I didn't learn anything from not all. I mean, I had some help along the way with mentors and that kind of thing. But the first 6 months of it was all on my own, you know, so those things are out there. Do you know Phil Snyder at Finger Snakes?
Yep.
BP? Okay. Just wanted to make, if not, you guys should, get an introduction. Speaking of a high-end tinkerer, man,
I've talked to him about that solar setup and this whole thing, but I wound up buying a snake, I think, instead. I spent money on something. Me and Phil were talking for a while. He gave me tons of it. I have solar panels and I've messed around with stuff. And I saw Phil's setup and I was like, oh, I gotta get into this more. So then there I go down the rabbit hole. And stuck on that for weeks, and then about to pull the trigger, and I wound up spending a few $1,000s on something else, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna wait on the solar. It's just I have too much that I want to do, and that's the thing. Like I always say, like, you live once, like, you know, don't be afraid to take a shot or spend the money or whatever. Like, if I like something and I want something, I do whatever I can to get it. Like, especially, like, you know, when you're a kid and you don't have money, and now I'm just a big kid. I'm a 40-year-old kid. Like, I don't feel like I'm a 40-year-old adult male. Like, I'm still the same idiot in my head that wants to mess around with stupid stuff. And now I can, because I have all my own money in my own house and nobody can tell me no.
I remember, and this is getting really nerdy. You'll understand it. Phil will understand it. Actually, side note about Phil, I literally asked at my when I had my taxes done last time, I literally asked my tax guy, if I fly Phil down and put him up and all the expenses, whatever, while we install a solar panel, I was like, his plane ticket and dinners and that stuff, business expense. And the guy's like, oh, definitely get him on a plane. I'm like, I was like, Phil. So it's probably not the time right now, but I'll probably move in the next 2 to 3 years. And when I do move, that's going to be part of it. But to your point about being excited, and that's sort of like two things you just said. One of them, not having money. People ask where my drive comes from, and I'm like, well, I never got an allowance, so I was really happy to go wash dishes when it clicked to me that I could literally trade my time and somebody would pay me for my time. And I had to wash dishes, but I get to watch all these crazy college students being idiots, and then all the drunks being idiots in the bar after them.
That was me too, though. So college was a different story. Yeah.
Oh, I participated.
I didn't have that work drive in college.
Well, I did, because I was still broke. And this is getting way off topic, but I finally sort of found my social niche and my stride in restaurants as well, which I never hit in high school. So I had some catching up to do, if people are getting what I'm saying. That was a great place to do that in the restaurant scene in college. So it was beneficial in many ways. But it took me a long, long time to graduate and get done with that. But I remember being a kid, probably out of boredom, but I would take apart all of my toys. I'd get a remote control car and I'd disassemble it. And I remember understanding finally an electromagnet motor. And then I was like, well, if 9 volts is good through this little thing, I wonder what 110 would do. I remember sticking the wires in an outlet, and for about 3 seconds, that little motor spun faster than it's ever spun in its life. And then it blew up. And then it was done. But it was my proof of concept. You know, it was like, I still love that. My son's 11, so I can't quite tell him that story yet, because the last thing I want him doing is
lighting a fire in the house.
Or electrocuting himself, you know. So what's your thing on ball pythons? Let's talk about that a little bit. What are you working on? What are you excited about with ball pythons? I know right now, after a clutch of slugs.
Acid. Well, my black pastel blackhead acid boy is going to about 4 or 5 girls. So I'm going to have plenty of acids. I was just really hoping to get those het clowns. But I did put one to a candy het pied girl who should be going through pre-lace shed soon. So I'm hoping to get some really nice, het candy, 50% het pied, blackhead, black pastel acids.
Yeah.
Like the candy pied is the first project I really bought into. Sal Gomez from Gomez Pythons, he was one of the first people I started talking to in this industry. And, you know, because I found him with the candy stuff and I really liked it. And that, you know, I got into that. So I bought a lot of snakes from him. He's going to a leopard hypo pastel female, so I'll get some head hypo stuff. I like the darker jeans, and then if I'm going to go light, I want the dark into the light. So,
I see. Yeah, I'm picking up on that. So with the candy, you're going to get the purples. With the hypo, you're going to get that outline. You took the words right out of my mouth there. Well, we've been on the show long enough now. If people didn't catch it at the beginning or tuned out later, the double visual I picked up at the U.S. Arc auction was a candy pied,
nice.
And it came up, and I was like, man, if it stays under 75% of retail, I'm buying it right here, right now. And it only got to about 30% of retail. And
I should just buy one, but I have a male that has a few codoms in it that hopefully produces some candy pies this year for me.
Yeah.
So, and there's something about making my own, because especially since that was the first thing I wanted to do and make. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to buy that. I'm going to make that.
Oh, cool.
Because they came down in price, so it's like not a big deal to buy a candy pie right now. So, but I don't want just a regular one. I want one with the jeans I want in it. So,
yeah. What? So the darker jeans. What dark jeans specifically are you excited about? Whether you have them or not, what do you want?
So I have a super Wookiee acid boy too. So I want him to get into a lot of things as well. But unfortunately, he decided to not eat and not breed this year. He locked once, and it's with the clutch I have in the incubator. So I'm praying that it's from him and not the snake I used previous. It's to a candy female. So I'm hoping that this clutch is going to be, it should be all Wookiees and some Wookiee acid het candies. So, and then next year, hopefully he gets his act together and I get him going to some clown females and things like that, get some Wookiee clown stuff, Wookiee acids. And, but yeah, I have a super black pastel, super vanilla female that's going to a GHI clown. So to get GHI, black pastel, vanilla, het clown. The first decent snake I bought was from Justin. It was a coral glow het clown. I bought a hatchling female. I think it was like $700 at the time. But it was like the nicest looking coral glow I've ever seen in my life, like, or banana. Everyone I see, and I even asked them because I was still new. I'm like, is this from like breeding the best one? Like, how come yours looks so much different than every one I see? And he's like, yeah, no, it's because we keep the best ones and we've been doing it for so long that we have, you know. And then I saw him putting like dark jeans into that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's what I got the GHI clown for, because the GHI clown's going to the coral glow het clown. And she's pre-lay shed hopefully soon. She was like 38 millimeter follicles last time.
Oh, cool. Yeah, she's about to pop then. Yeah.
Yeah, she's just laying there getting huge now. So
my ass, I have one acid and it's a het clown, and I bought it Poss Het and it proved. That was the one that proved.
Nice.
I got that from Dale, and it ate. I mean, it's mass. It's just now a year old, and it's probably 900 grams. I mean, he's huge. Wouldn't touch a female anywhere. I got the test in time for breeding season. I was like, oh yeah, here we go.
Keep talking. I'll pull out the Wookiee.
And it never went. So I gave him the rest of the year off, but I've got plans for him this fall for sure.
So this guy was 900 and something grams when I got him back in December.
Yeah,
he hasn't eaten for me, but he locked once, and he won't lock again. But I got to keep him because there's not many super Wookiees out there.
No, I don't even think I've seen a super Wookiee.
Much
less with acid in it.
There's zero super Wookiee acids. So
yeah, he's great, man.
Yeah, I love him. I just hope he gets his act together next year. I was kept putting him to females, trying all different things, but since he wasn't eating, I was like, it's not worth it. I don't want to push him. I don't want him, getting sick or dying or anything like that. So it sucked, but I had to pull him out of the rotation just for his sake.
Yeah. And you do. And if anybody's watching and doesn't realize what we're talking about, male ball pythons, they'll breed themselves to death. If, generally a snake that size is going to be fine, but he also could be shooting blanks or having, that could lead to the slugs possibly and that kind of thing. I had what was it? It was a hypo super Mojave. Matter of fact, pretty cool little breeder snake. He never started eating again. Never rebounded, never came back, man. That is the only snake. I've had one shipped to me that died, but that's the only snake in my collection that I've had die. And it was like, did I push him too far? Did I breed him too early? Thankfully his sperm took and I have his offspring, but still that's not a good enough trade-off.
I tried everything. Like I bought the Da Vinci boa. I just gave him Da Vinci boa last night. I've been giving him that every few weeks it's not making him eat.
Yeah.
But, at least I know he's getting some nutrients and things like that. I washed him. I put him in a new rack, a new tub, taking him on drives, did everything that I've saw that people have done. I've tried
different foods, all that stuff.
I breed ASFs, mice, and rats. So
okay. Yeah.
I've tried every size, every type. I put pre-killed in there overnight. I've tried everything.
Yeah.
And he's not eating. So, I mean, he's healthy still. He drinks. I see him at night. Like he's in a clear tub right now, and I have a little section that's open, and I have a camera, and I
cool.
see him at night drinking and moving around and everything, and he's fine. So, hopefully he snaps out of it. But I would show you the blackhead acid, but he's currently locked with the leopard hypo pastel.
Oh, that's a good reason though.
Yeah, so he locks to it. He doesn't eat either. I got him. He's over 1,000 grams though. He hasn't eaten since he started breeding, but he's still a monster. So I'm not worried about him.
Yeah, yeah. I really rarely pull out snakes on my show, generally because I don't handle mine after dark. I like them conditioned with the frozen thawed. If there's activity after dark, they're expecting food, and that acid he would pulverize my hand if I went to go for him right now.
I wish, man. I would take bites all day from these things if they just freaking ate. I have a super dwarf retic over here, and that thing, you walk by it, and he ate today. I fed him earlier, and he's sitting there right now staring at me.
Like, ready to go. Yeah, he's bringing me the business. Yep.
Don't care. He'll eat. I can feed him 4 times tonight, and he'll eat them all.
Now mine do well, but like I say, I don't interrupt them at night, and then the ones that already are conditioned, they would, like I say, if I open their tubs, they're they're coming for business.
I see Beast Morph said, he assist fed his to get it bred, to get eating again. So last year I had a clutch, and I was a boob egg, and it was a tiny snake. So I've assist fed, and that snake is now big, healthy, and thriving. So I've done it with a little snake with pinkies, but I've never done it with an adult. I know that's what you might be thinking about. Baker had a stranger leopard clown male not eating, and it was getting really skinny. And I think
that's what it was. Did that recover? That animal recover?
Yeah, that thing's eating like crazy and breeding like crazy now. So it's good.
Okay. Yeah, the thumbnail was like, I don't remember what number, 25,000, some massive number. Yeah. Did I waste this, or is this a disaster or whatever? That's what it is. Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So some people say, just wait till the whole breeding season's over. He's still got size on him, but I don't know. Maybe I throw a little wrap up down his throat and see if that sparks him up. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think a really little, like you say, a little pup or even just a hopper. Like sometimes I do that right after they lay. I'll just put like a little ASF hopper, even to get them back on. They said something about maybe their enzymes aren't riled up the way that they normally would be. And so the little one helps them build that, and then they can take the bigger one. But I don't know. I'm kind of with you, man. When it happens, I just try everything, and eventually something works. Yeah.
You see, Mike from MNK Exotics, he picked up one of Baker's stranger.
Oh, cool.
He is unbelievable. I can't wait to see when Mike gets it. Mike, I don't think he has it. Yeah, no, he doesn't have it yet. It just hatched, but can't wait to see it after it gets a little bigger. Yeah,
those are cool. I've got a buddy down in Orlando. He's he's a year or two behind me by and large. He's got a couple breeders, but he's getting all these hatchlings. And he's like, I got this male. It'll be ready, but I can't do anything with it. You want it? Do you want it? And I'm like, no, I kind of got my own projects, but that stranger is pretty nice. Man, he's got, I forget what it's strange. Yeah. He spends way more on snakes than I do. But I was like, we might not talk about that this fall. We'll see.
I'll have to try that creative genetics. I'll have to get one of Adam's CDs and play it on the speakers in my snake room. The snakes eat.
Little known secret, if you could find one of Adam's CDs, it will be priceless, because there's very few of them, as in just a couple around this room. That'd be about it. So do you do any vending, or where can people find your stuff or check things out?
So last year was the first year I produced any snakes, and I only had 2 clutches, and they weren't anything crazy. I sold most of them on Facebook and Morph Market. They were nothing expensive, but this year everything is running late. So my first clutch is in the incubator, and I'll probably have about 6-7 more clutches, hopefully by the end of the season. But yeah, everything will be on Morph Market, Instagram, it's Grey Rider Reptiles, and then the website for the genetic testing is greyriderreptiles.com. That links you to my Square site. Everything goes through Square. And if anybody's doing multiple snakes, I always give discounts. So
tell us about that. From my experience, when I click to your store, it looks like I can order them right away. Like we don't have to touch base with you or anything. We just pay for it and send it. That's it.
Yeah, but I always, whenever I get an order, most of the time I'll be able to tell who it is on their Instagram name, so and if I don't have them as on Instagram, or I don't know the actual person's name, I'll look it up and figure it out and say, hey, got your order, thanks a lot.
Okay.
I'll always reach out. I always reach out. Once somebody places an order, I reach out to them, whether it's via email or Instagram. Usually it's Instagram, but if I don't know who they are on Instagram, and I will, email them and say, hey, got your order, thanks a lot. Let me know if you have any issues following the directions or anything like that.
Cool.
And then sometimes I like to know when people are sending them, so I know when to expect them, and just in case they get lost in the mail. Like I've had one, was it Mike from MK? Somebody sent me a shed, and it took over a week to get here. It's like, shit, did I lose it? Did it get lost in the mail? But it came, but it was just really late. So it's always nice to know when they're going out. And then once I receive them, I also message you and say, hey, I got your sheds today, and give you my expectation of when they're going to be ready.
Ballpark, I realize it could change depending on based on what you said earlier, whether you need to involve the lab or not. But generally, how quick of a turnaround can people expect with you doing your system, your process?
So in my process of just the gel, it's usually either that night or a couple days.
Really?
No backlog. If I'm doing a test, like when I first started and I wasn't getting that many orders, I would do usually one round, and I would do it on the weekends. I would do one round and ship out Monday morning to the lab, and I would have results by Wednesday. Mm-hmm. But now I'm getting it's been a little slow recently, but I've been getting more orders. So I'll do multiple tests a week now. So I would say the average has probably been a week and a half. If it's something that I can't do at home, I hope never more than 2 weeks. But sometimes like things happen. If I didn't get DNA out of it, or, I didn't get a good sample, like sometimes even at the lab, they could screw up at the lab. I've had times where they've had to do free repeats for me because, they didn't dilute it enough, or this or that. So there's always little things that could come up that could make it extended another few days or half a week or something like that. But as of now, I think I've been pretty good at getting back as quick as I can. Within 2 weeks, I always say, and usually it's quick. 9 times out of 10, it's quicker than that.
Yeah, that's in my experience, that's ultra competitive. Now, my experience was back when it was taking 6-8 weeks turnaround, but even still, I think it's still much longer than what you're talking.
When I get the shed. So if I get a shed and I just sent out a shipment that day, and I only have your shed there, And if it's something I have to send out, if I'm not expecting any sheds coming anytime soon, then I'll just do it and get it out. But it's completely cost ineffective if I do that.
Well,
And that's what RGI said, like in the beginning when they weren't, if they're not getting a lot of orders, it's not cost effective for them to send out 20, 30 at a time. For me, it's cost effective to send out at least 4 at a time. It helps.
Yeah.
I have to ship it. It costs money to ship, and then I have to sequence it, and wasting money on the gel and this and the process and the time. The time is the same whether or not I'm doing 1 or I'm doing 8.
Gotcha.
A little bit longer. It's very minuscule. So
well, and like I know we're excited to know the outcome, but the times that we need it urgently are really very rare, to be honest with you, unless people haven't done their planning.
That's more of me being how I am, and I'm impatient, and most people are a lot more patient than I am. So I don't like making people wait.
Yeah.
Because I don't like to wait. So, I don't mind. People will message me, be like, hey, sorry to bother you, but any idea when that's going to come? No, don't be sorry. Bother the hell out of me. Like, ask me, I'll tell you exactly what's going on anytime. Like, if you're not bothering me by saying, did you get this done, or did you get this done, or did you get my shed? Like, because, hey, if for some reason my wife got the mail that day and the shed is sitting on the counter and I didn't see it, I won't see it till the next day or something like that. I want to know. Message me. Annoy the hell out of me. I have so much going on in my stupid head that I love when I need reminders for everything in life. If without this phone and the alarms, and I'd be done. But yeah, nobody ever bothers me when they message me or ask me questions, or, hey, can I get an update on that? Can I get an update on that?
Right.
And I think that's the one, the good thing about me doing it, being one smaller and having the ability to talk to pretty much everybody that does business with me.
Have you run into a scenario where you're basically the volume's outpacing what you can handle yet?
No, you
haven't.
No, I'm hoping that it gets to that point in hatchling season,
right?
Because I have a million messages in Instagram conversations with people like, hey, I'm waiting for this to shed. I'm waiting for this. I'm going to have this. So I'm going to send you all this. And I'm like, oh, wow, it's going to get really busy, but then nothing happens.
Yeah.
But it's also waiting. And you don't know when these things are going to shed. And a lot of people are building up their sheds to send them all at once.
I was going to say,
yeah. Appreciate it, Chris. But yeah, I mean, if it does get to that point, I could quickly buy equipment that will make the ability to.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So right now, the equipment I have, I could do 8 at a time.
Okay.
And that doing 8, if I do it at night after I get home from work, I can only do 8 that night. Otherwise, I'll be up till probably 4 in the morning if I try to do 16.
Right.
But on a weekend, I could do probably 24 in a day. But I could easily double that or quadruple that by buying a bigger piece of equipment. That costs more, but if I'm going to be getting that busy, I don't want people to wait.
You could do it at scale then. Then it makes sense.
Right. It makes sense. Right now, I keep saying, oh, I'm going to buy this. I should buy this. And I just try to calm myself down and say, relax. You don't need it right now. If it gets to the point, I could get something shipped to me within 2 days that's going to make me be able to bang out a lot more at a time.
Oh, if it's a 2-day turnaround and you just wait for the cash flow, that's no problem. Right. Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing. I mean, the impatient person inside of me is not. I have to calm him down and say, you don't need that right now. It's fine. You could, I have. I don't think I have any. I have no sheds right now that I'm behind on. Everything is either in transit to the lab or at the lab right now, and I'm going on a cruise in a couple days. But my laptop's coming with me, and I'll have Wi-Fi, so everybody will be getting their results the second I get them.
Nice. Well, then, actually, I got to go to the post office on Thursday to ship out some shirts. and I'm gonna press click on some orders on these sheds, get them over to you.
Good. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you too, man. That would be. It's funny. I say that like nobody should need them at the last minute or super ultra fast unless they haven't been planning. And here I am. That thing's been hanging up there like 3 weeks. I'm like, I got all winter until fall, till I need my pairing plans. I'm like, let me send them off. I'll take care of it.
Yeah, and it's like all the people in Baker's Patreon, like those guys, they're all good. Like, if they need something quick, or if anybody really messages me, is like, hey, I have an issue. I'll take care of it. Let's get it done. Let's figure it out. I can work with people, and anytime somebody's like, hey, I have 8 to do, or this, granted, I'm already cheaper than anybody else doing it. I still could go lower, and if I'm getting 8 at a time, that's a lot more cost effective for me. So therefore I could pass that on to you.
Right.
And I also don't have the overhead that RGI has. I'm not spending tens of thousands of dollars, $100,000 on research right now.
Well, that's why it was really interesting when I asked about the scale question, because like it seemed unrelated. I think about scale a lot because with music, I can't put on 2 gigs at one time. I either can build the price that I get per gig, or I can make a whole bunch of money in tips, but I can't really. I cap out at what I can handle pretty fast. So I think about that a lot, but it's also why I like ball pythons, because to the point you're talking about with efficiency and practice and a routine, if I'm going to clean 12 tubs, I probably clean 20, that's no big deal. But that's really interesting about it. So it's just a matter of the machinery that you can handle just fine, and you could double your scale that fast.
Yeah, it definitely will take a little bit longer because you have to extract the DNA from more sheds. So it's more of taking little pieces out of the, Ziploc, putting them in the tubes, filling them. So it definitely adds a little bit of time, but the process of PCR is usually around 2 hours of the machine doing its work on its own without me having to be there. Yeah. So whether I have 8 in there or I have 800 in the machine, it's still 2 hours. Yeah. There's a little bit more prep work and finishing up work, but it's less, it's not like it takes.
But you'd still be able to handle that. You wouldn't have to hire a person. You wouldn't have to double.
No.
And actually, if you got that other machine, it would actually triple your output, not double. You go from 8 to 24 because you'd be adding 16, huh?
Right.
Oof, that's cool.
But also, I could do 1 in that machine. I don't need to do 24. If I have 1, I have nothing to do, and somebody sends me a shed and it's a hypo or something that I could do that night and I'm not busy, I'll just bang it out. I don't like having things like over my head. Like
undone.
Yeah. I like just getting them done, getting it out of there and making people happy.
Give us the rundown, or I took the notes. I can give you the rundown if you want me to.
I'll just pull up my website so I don't
screw it up,
because I miss stuff all the time. So right now, I could do yellow belly, hypo, lavender albino, asphalt, gravel, piebald, candy, albino, ultramel, with the caveat that it's just the one line of ultramel. Then I could also do Spectre as well, but nobody's ever asked me for it, so I never put it up there. But yeah, so right now it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So about 10 genes.
And so Ultramel would be one of those elimination situations. You could say it.
No. Ultramel is, I could say if it is, but if it comes back negative, it still might be.
It might be that. Okay. Yeah.
So it's kind of the opposite of.
It's the opposite elimination. Yeah. Okay. So you can't complete. Oh, but so you can confirm though if it's one.
Confirm if it's 1, and the one we could test for is the most common one. It's very few and far between that there's the other line of it.
Let me get nerdy on this. If somebody has a visual, they could send that test to you,
and if that comes back positive, all their babies they could send to me.
All their babies they could send. And I mean, I guess their visuals would produce all hets of
theirs. Right, but if you send me a pos het, like that's happened. Somebody sent me a POS
from
hat
that line.
and
Yeah.
I confirmed, and I said, "Yep, I tested it. It is proven het for Ultramel this line."
Yeah.
So now they know that if they send me their offspring, it's going to be 100% accurate.
Right. Right. Yeah. So that is useful. That is, yeah, I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Charlie, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for sharing what you have going on. I hope I've conveyed it, but like, I love these stories, man. I love somebody figuring it out. I love somebody jumping in the game. I love somebody not saying, "Hey, here's this big company that's done this, and this all sounds scary. Screw it. I'll just go on and do something else simple." Or I always joke, "What else was I going to do? Watch Netflix?" Like, you're not just like kicking back watching Netflix, man. I've got a lot of respect and appreciation for that. Very cool. Thank you for sharing all that with us.
And
man.
I have to say, like RGI, they've been awesome. Like they talk to me. They're, there's certain things they can't tell me, and I don't even ask them. Because
Right.
I understand that, and they're awesome. They're great. I nothing that like if people are like, "Can you do clown?" Nope. RGI can send it to them.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be like, hold on to it. I might get it soon. No.
No, yeah, take care of it. But
Sure.
that's what I've seen with like, and I always try and shout these guys' names out when I can, but Dale at Constricted Reptiles, Jeremy Bod, those guys have looked out for me when they could easily have been like, "No, you're going to be, what do you think? We're going to help our competition?" And I'm like, I'm not your competition, first off. But second,
And
like,
that's how it is with RGI. Like I'm not their competition.
yeah,
Like,
no, they've been really fantastic. And I'm glad to hear that that's in. And that makes me feel bad. I mean, I didn't feel bad about RGI anyhow, but that makes me feel really good about RGI. That's
no,
cool.
they're class acts. I can't say anything bad about them.
That's great, man. Do you want to talk your pricing right now, or you want just people to go to the website?
Yeah, so right now, if you're sending 1, 2, 3, it's $50 a test. Usually 4 or more, I could, especially if it's something like the hypo or lavender albino. Yellow belly, I could do it at home, but it's an extra step and it does cost more money. So I can't really give great discounts on yellow belly or the ones that ship out. But if you're sending me, like there's people that have ordered 20, 30, and you're going to get really good discounts at that point.
Yeah. And then what about like a panel type test? What if somebody goes, "Man, this is a crazy looking animal I found at Petco, and there's got to be something going on." Like we've all heard this.
So I offer the panel. I think it's $120 or $125. I probably lose money on that.
Yeah, because that's what 8 or 9 tests that you're actually checking for.
I definitely lose money on that right now. But I was on the phone with because I know how RGI does it, and I know how they're able to do it and keep the price the same. So I was on the phone with a lab yesterday, and I was talking to them, and I have it figured out how I'm going to be able to do it and make it cost effective, and I might even be able to charge less than $120 for a whole panel.
Gotcha.
But as of now, I've done it for people just because I have to. I can't not do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, that's going to be, I mean, and I want to pay you for it, but that's one of the ones I'm going to send you to. It just looks too good. You know what I mean? Yeah. One other topic looks like it's come up, and I think I know the answer, but we'll let it come from you, not from me. People are asking, are you developing any tests? Or are you relying on scientific journals? I think is essentially the question. Do you have any new genes in the pipeline that you see you'll be able to offer? I think is the gist of the questions.
100%. That's my goal. And I've been relentlessly researching every single night. I'm up all night long and I'm exhausted all the time because that's the one thing I need to figure out. And I think I have it figured out.
Okay.
A couple people have confirmed to me that that's how you do it. So I knew I had an idea how to do it for a couple months now, but I wasn't set in stone, and I didn't want to spend a few $1,000s and do it wrong. But now I have an idea, a very good idea of how it works.
I'm very glad I asked, because I thought your answer was going to be, well, I'm at the mercy of scientific publications and when it comes out. So
no, I can't do that. Like, it's not
okay. All right, cool.
I feel like that's not fair to the community. Like, I don't want to be that guy that, granted, they're public information. It's public. Anybody could do it, but I still want to contribute more to this journey into this hobby and this business than just that. I want to
It,
be able to, and I was talking to Dr. Murrow last night, and I said, listen, I'm going to try to find something that you don't have, because that gives people that other option. Like,
right.
I don't care that, you have this and that, and that. Fine, like, do it. But I want to, if you want to test for, I don't know, what's acid.
Sure.
You're not
Right.
sure. This one looks funny. It's a white snake. Let it be an option for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You could go to them. You could go to them to get your G Stripe. You could go to them to get your Desert Ghost. You could, why am I going to do that if they have it right now? Let's, there are things that, like clown. Clown is one thing I need. I need to get it, and I was supposed to be getting it from another scientist that's working on it. And well, no, they got it. They figured it out. They have it. But they were supposed to give it to me months ago, but winds up they can't because they're finishing their doctorate and their thesis, and that's part of it.
Gotcha.
So it's going to be a couple of months before they could get it to me.
There's a difference between not being able to do something and then not being fair to the community. Nobody like holds you to that, right? Like, that's a lot of pressure to put on yourself, man.
Yeah,
not that you need therapy with Adam, but I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't.
No, I mean, this is the best part about doing this has been the more people I've met. I've had ball pythons since the 90s. I stopped for years.
Oh, cool, yeah.
And I've had reptiles my whole life. I don't know how many years I have not had some sort of reptile in my care. But I just started breeding and getting serious last year, about maybe 2 years ago. And I'm a nobody. I have 20 something snakes here. I don't have anything super fancy, super high end, expensive. But I know so many people now.
Right. That's how I feel about my show.
Like, I'm on your show.
And I'm hanging out with you.
Right. Like, it's awesome. Like, so many people that I never would have met if I didn't start doing this, that wouldn't give me the time of day to even, who the hell is this guy? He's got nothing. He's nobody.
Right. Right.
Now at least I have some sort of presence.
Well, I'll say this. I don't think you'll have a trouble getting the audience, but if you do get the equipment and you do decide you want to learn, or you're going to chase the gene down, let me know. We'll put out the word every week until you get as many sheds as you need, man.
Appreciate it.
It doesn't cost me anything. I'll help you with that.
I know. And like Sunset's one of them. I know RGI is probably going to have that soon, but I know a lot of people want that. So that might be one of the first ones I try to do. A lot of people are like, oh, do rainbow, do monsoon. I need decent amount of shed visuals of these things, and how many am I going to get? 50 rainbow visuals?
Yeah. I know puzzle's high on a lot of people's lists.
Puzzle as well. I could get those. I could get the puzzle. I'll no problem getting the puzzle. No problem getting the sunset. I already have a lot. Kai from Lucas Landon sent me a crap ton of sunset already.
Cool.
So I keep every shed. I have a whole filing system down in my basement where I have every customer has their own envelope, has their own thing, and every shed is still there. So, and I have a database on my computer that shows every test I've ever done for every person. So if I'm like, oh, I need more clowns, I could go up and look, oh, this person sent me a clown head hypo.
Right.
Well, so I have a lot of it already just because of all the sheds that got sent to me.
The flip side, not the flip side, another angle of what you're talking about. If anybody just listened to that whole thing, anybody that sells snakes should be doing a similar thing. Oh, these folks bought a visual clown, whatever, a year ago. I just hatched het clowns, this combo here. That might go well. You got your target audience. You can reach out just the way you needed sheds. We all need customers like that. That in a microcosm is the whole CR, customer relationship management stuff. Mm-hmm. And that works, man. I keep a file like that on. I had somebody actually right before the show. Was that? I don't think he quite believed that I remembered the snake, and I brought it up. I said, "Well, you bought it at the same time as these two, and that's it." He was, "Oh yeah, that's the one, man." I'm like, "Yeah, there you go." Mm-hmm. So,
and now I use Snake Pro. I've been using that for the last few months, and like I'm bad at taking notes, and I'm glad I have that because that has worked out for me well. I do really like that, so I try to keep every time I feed. I don't monitor every single shed, every shit that something takes. But
right.
the important stuff, the pairings, the locks, the feeding,
Yep.
like that. And because last year I didn't do that, and luckily I took so many pictures of my first clutch and
Okay.
like the first time I ever had a girl ovulate, first time she pre-laced shed. So I was able to go back and look and be like, she did it this time,
Yeah.
But now that I have a lot more breeder females this year, it's not as easy to keep track of, and this has been definitely helping.
Yeah, I need to check it out. I still do all mine on spreadsheets. I leave on a trip myself, and then when I get back, my work schedule actually, I just finished one really big project for a client, and I'll be stepping back from them. So that's actually one thing I'm really considering. But I also am anticipating 90 snakes in the next 90 days, hatchlings kind of situation. So I knew I'd be getting busy. So I have to see how busy I get. But I think switching over to that it's one of those things. I need a little space of time just to get switched over. And then after I do, I'm sure I'll, from an automation standpoint,
I'm glad I did it when I had 23 ball pythons before.
Yeah.
But to stay small though. I don't have the time, and it wouldn't be fair to the snakes. And wouldn't be fair to my family if I tried to get 30, 40 clutches a year. I don't want that. I don't have the time for that. I'm just going to make and focus on what my goal snakes are, and that's it. And whatever I could sell, I sell. This is not something to me that I need the money from. It'll be, it's all going to probably go right back into it and right back into buying cool equipment to mess around and testing. I have a pretty good job, and this is just, obviously I can't keep everything, and I don't want to keep everything. And I spent a lot of money. I built this whole snake room. I did a lot. I built a whole rat breeding facility. Yeah. I built everything, and I spent a lot of money. So to make some of that back would be nice, but I'm not, if when I retire in 11 years, this is all still going on, great.
You get the ball rolling on those candy pods and some of the acid projects you got going. I'm starting to see it to a small extent. That snowball is real, man. It's pretty neat. So. I really believe that.
I'm one of those people too that my expectations are low for myself, and then I like to surprise myself.
Yeah, good, man. Well, let me see. Let me wrap this up. Everybody, I'll be out next week. First ever time. We'll have Steven or Courtney or both from Leviathan Snakes hosting. The following week, Charlie from Reagan Renee Royal Pythons will be hosting. They'll be on with their own guests. If you're traveling in the mid-Atlantic and if you have an invite, I can't invite you myself, but maybe you talk to Jeremy Warfels. July 1st, we'll be at Warfels get-together, barbecue, festival, cookout, whatever it is. He's actually asked if I could provide some entertainment. I'll be performing, and Phil from Finger Snakes BP, he's going to be performing with me. I was going to say he's going to be my sideman, man. I might be the sideman to him. He's a freaking shredder, man. He can go, man. So anyhow, we'll be there having a good old time. I don't have to drive anywhere that night, so we'll really enjoy ourselves safely. We'll have a good time. I hope to see you all there. I will be back after the 4th of July on July 11th, and I'll have Portuguese pythons on. Otherwise, you all know how to get in touch with me. Charlie, you get the last word. Take us home, man.
Appreciate you having me on. It's always awesome to, get to know people better and to, answer whatever questions I can. And like I said, I'm no professional scientist here, but sometimes I like that because then I could kind of talk to everybody like a normal person. It's hard for somebody that is a professional at something to dumb it down to the rest of our level. But yeah, I'm excited about the future. And the day I find my own gene is going to be awesome. Like
nice.
That's what I want. That's my goal. And there's been times where I've said to myself, screw it. I'm just going to go with what I have and just do it, whatever. If people stop using me, I'll have a few guys friends that'll use me and just whatever. And then I don't know. Then I get pumped up about it again.
Yeah. Then that's the fuel. That's the, it's not good enough. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think I'm going anywhere. I'm sure there'll be more people popping up doing it, professionals and people like myself. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where this goes, and hopefully we keep learning more and more about these snakes, and not just, see what we learned about DG today. It's just it's cool. It's not, there's not many animals like this that you could open up any one of these tubs right here and be like, yeah, how are these the same?
Right. No, that's yeah. Charlie, I want to see it through with you, man. Let me know if I can be of any help. I appreciate it, man. I sit tight in the green room here. Everybody, Charlie's website and how you can get a hold of him is down below in the description. Support him if you can. And thanks so much, Charlie. I appreciate you being on, man.
You got it.
All right. We'll see everybody soon. I won't see y'all until after the 4th, but the show will go on. Proper Royals Live will happen. So see you all next time. Charlie, thanks so much, man. Stick around for just a second, man.